So, I just finished The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the very first time, and for a game that was released in 1998, which is 28 years ago, the game is, to this day, still one of the highest reviewed video games of all time. It's right up there with Cory in the House. And only until recently have I decided to start live streaming, and it's been a blast. I've been playing all types of different games, and people have been joining and interacting. It's a lot of fun. You should definitely come and join. Charge! Right in the vagina! What? I decided a really bright idea was that I would spin a wheel and whatever the game landed on, I would play. Little did I know what I was in for.
Is it always going to land on orange?
Oh,
Big game incoming.
So just for a little bit of extra context, the first ever Legend of Zelda game that I've ever played was Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch, and that was a few years ago. And I'll be honest, the game did take me a few hours to really get into, but once things really clicked, I fell in love with the game. It really blew me away. The game was so immersive, and I loved everything about the story and the world of Hyrule in that game. I knew that once I finished Breath of the Wild that I would have to play the other Legend of Zelda games. Obviously, this is one of the highest reviewed series of all time. The only problem is, I finished Breath of the Wild like over 8 years ago, and with a backlog as big as mine, there was no real guarantee that I would ever actually get around to playing any of the Legend of Zelda games. So with just that one spin, I was finally committed to playing one of the most legendary games of all time. With no nostalgia and no childhood memories to really keep me powered on through the journey, will I enjoy the game as much as everyone else 28 years later? Is the game actually deserving of the praise? Let's find out.
Oh, that was quite early, I thought. Okay, fair enough.
Now, I played the game on the GameCube emulator Dolphin, mainly because I just did not want to deal with the hassle of setting up and streaming on the Nintendo 64, but also because I did not want to use a controller that looks like it has a penis. And the first thing that really hit me was the atmosphere.
Here we go. Iconic loading screen to a game. Oh, it looks even better than I imagined. I'm going to mute myself just so you can listen to this music.
Link just riding across Hyrule Field on horseback with that soft, almost haunting music playing in the background, it really does set the tone perfectly before you even press start. The game is already letting you know exactly what kind of experience you're about to have, and that feeling carries out throughout the entirety of the game.
I get it. Why is he having sex with a rock? What's up with him? Did I see that wrong?
In terms of graphics, I love the graphics. That's just me personally. I actually have a soft spot for the N64 with just the kind of atmosphere and vibe that the games give off. Of course, it's not going to be as amazing as stuff that's been released today, like, I don't know, something amazing like Mind's Eye. I don't know why I thought of that game, but yeah, you get what I mean. And I can only imagine being a child at the time of this game's release and going from classic 2D sprite-based games to then Ocarina of Time just blowing your mind. For me, personally, I absolutely love the graphics. And for the music, it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's magical. I don't know if I can really play it because I might get copyright strike, so I'm sure we'll find out in the editing process of this video. In my opinion, it is some of the best video game music of all time. Each zone has unique songs that are really catchy and really make it distinct that you are in a certain area. The music fits the vibe excellently. And a lot of these songs will just get stuck in your head. I find myself all the time humming the Kokiri Forest theme, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It very much could be a problem. I'm not going to spoil the story for a 28-year-old game, but I will be talking about it a little bit. You play as Link, a kid who is not an elf somehow, but he is a Hylian or Hylian. I'm sorry, I just can't pronounce that at all. Link is known as the boy with no fairy and gets dragged into something way bigger than himself, involving the fate of Hyrule. The game plays a lot with the idea of time, obviously Ocarina of Time. And you watch the world change, seeing the consequences of things that happen in the story.
I don't think it can be that bad, Hyrule, surely. It's been 7 years. I mean, you know, what really... Oh. Right, that doesn't look good.
And that's where the game's story really does stand out. Keeping in mind how old this game is, it's not just a, oh, go save the world type of story. You see a gradual shift in the world And you definitely feel like the vibe shift in this world as you play through the game. Link at the start of the game is summoned by the Great Deku Tree, who has been cursed and needs Link to enter inside his body and destroy the monsters inside. Inside the Great Deku Tree really establishes a lot about the game pretty early on, like the puzzle solving, the combat, mechanics, and traversal and items. And a really big highlight of this game is the dungeons, but I will be talking about that a little bit later on in the video. Let's talk about the general gameplay loop. It's simple, but it works, and it works really well. You explore an area, you find your way into a dungeon, you solve the puzzles, you get to the next area, you find the item that you need to progress through the story. And I personally loved exploring Hyrule. I found also the NPCs were pretty memorable. For example, those two homosexuals in the village. But overall, there is just a lot of memorable NPCs that really flesh out Hyrule and make it feel like it is a real lived-in place. The gameplay loop for a 28-year-old game holds up pretty well, but when it comes to combat, well, as Link, you have a sword and shield, you can lock onto enemies, dodge their attacks, and attack when necessary. You're given an array of items to use, like bombs, slingshots, bow and arrows, and all of this just really expands the gameplay. Some enemies will have different ways of taking damage than others, and this just really keeps encounters fresh and different each and every time. You do not see gameplay like that from anywhere else. That was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my entire life. With all that said, there is one enemy that you will come up against and it's just going to ruin your day, and that is the camera. The camera in this game is so painful at times. I can't even begin to show you how many times the camera decided to personally attack me and get me killed on so many occasions. I'm sure the Z locking system was revolutionary at the time, but today, in my opinion, it's aged not terribly, but it's definitely not the best. I think the more you play the game, the more you kind of just roll with the punches and you kind of just work with it, and you do just kind of get used to the camera. But yeah, the first couple hours, it took me a long time to kind of get used to it, to be honest. Also, item management, it's not the best. It's definitely aged, but every time you needed to use an item that you haven't got actively equipped, you have to pause the game, you have to shuffle through all the pages, equip that item, then you can use it, and then you need to go back to grab another item, and you just have to rinse and repeat the whole cycle. There's a bit of me that I kind of like it. Like, I like the jank just because it reminds me of the older games back in how they used to be. It's tedious at times for sure. It's not the best, but personally I don't really mind it. But yeah, it's definitely a con. Again, you just kind of learn just to roll with the punches, so take that as you will. And one thing that I just could not roll with, NAVI. That way was Cockery Forest, so now this way. Oh, NAVI, you better have something insightful to say. Mate, you've already said that. Stupid little bugger. NAVI, in my mind, is one of the worst video game companions of all time. I would rather have P. Diddy helping me out through these puzzles. At least actually, I don't know where I was going to go with that, but maybe NAVI isn't that bad. But she will just randomly stop gameplay just to tell you some absolute garble, some incoherent mess, useless information, and it just doesn't help you out in the slightest. If anything, it confuses you more because you're like, what? To put it lightly, I'm not the biggest NAVI fan. Let's move on to more of the positive things about the game, and there is a good few positives. Obviously, this is still one of the highest rated video games of all time, so let's have a little chat about the positives. The dungeons, the temples, whatever you want to call them, they're pretty good. I like them. Each one feels pretty unique with its own mechanics and ideas. Most of the puzzles are actually pretty smart. They're all set across different themes, different settings, and completely different vibes. So you're not just running through the same kind of plays, trying to figure out the same exact type of puzzles. Each one does feel really unique. And I feel like it's pretty important to talk about one area in this game specifically, and that is the water temple. If you know anything about The Legend of Zelda, you know that this is one of the most infamous and notorious temples in all of gaming. There is a lot of jank to it. You have to pause and you have to put on the iron shoes, take them off, play the ocarina, play some lullabies and raise and lower the water. It is tedious, yes. Having said all that, I actually quite liked it. Admittedly, I did have a chat that really helped me out throughout this level, but I can imagine back in the day, if you had like no internet access and you didn't have like a strategy guide or something, this temple could have been a huge pain. I live in the day of internet and TikTok and, herpes. So seeing how, you know, I did progress through the water temple, I liked it. I know, I don't care. I enjoyed it. And at the end of each dungeon, temple, whatever you want to call it, there is always a big bad boss that you got to defeat. And this is without a doubt one of the biggest highlights of the game, in my opinion. I loved pretty much all the boss fights. Most of them aren't just like, oh, you just got to hit them until they die. No, like there's actual methods that you have to do. I remember having to play tennis with one of them, like punching back a ball and then it would do damage to him and then I could attack him from there. There was one where I had to time throwing a bomb in one of its mouth or something. There was a lot of bosses and they were all different and always felt unique and different from the last. So I really liked the bosses. You can definitely cheese most of the bosses, I'm pretty sure. Personally, I just kind of played it and winged it as we went along. But yeah, I mean, the bosses were a massive highlight of the game. The game, in my opinion, can be quite difficult in times. Some of the puzzles, I was like, what? And I was like really like confused. I'll be the first to admit, I was sometimes stuck on levels for a very long time, and thankfully my chat really helped me out in certain areas that I was on for too long, so shout out you guys, you know who you are, thank you very much. But yeah, some of the puzzles in this game, again, this is from someone who's got like brain rot stage 4, some of the puzzles were a little bit confusing for me, but when I did finish the puzzles, I felt like a great sense of satisfaction, so that made it all worth it. Sometimes the struggle was worth the reward. I have been flapping about for 50 minutes to find a stupid chicken in a box. Silly little bitch. How did a chicken get in the box in the first place? I know you let him escape, but come on. Help me, I will give this to you. It's fine glasses, and you should... Glasses. A fine glass, really. All of that. You couldn't even give me a fucking Mountain Dew or something? And one thing that really surprised me with this game is that I had no idea this was a thing. There was actually side quests in this game alongside a really amazing story. The side quest wasn't anything like amazing, you know, really breathtaking, but it was like, you know, like a race or a fetch quest or like just a time limit thing. But the fact that they were in this game with everything else, it was just a nice little cherry on the top. So I enjoyed the majority of the side quests, but you do get some pretty cool rewards, like you get a massive sword like from Guts from Berserk, so that was worth it. Oh damn, he's two-wielding that thing? And again, it just really drives home that point that this is like Hyrule is a very much lived in place. All the NPCs are there for a purpose. You can talk to them, you'll find some cool little secret, they'll kind of point you in the right direction of where to go for some certain item. It was really cool, I liked it. My final thoughts on this game, admittedly I'm a little bit torn because there's things that have aged, the control, the camera, NAVI, arse. But the things that are working for this game, the dungeons, the enemies, the story, the music, the atmosphere of the game works really, really well. So the big question, did I like it? Yes, I really liked it. In fact, I would go as far as to say I loved it. What surprised me most is that how well the game does still hold up all these years later. The game has a lot more than I expected. The music is genuinely beautiful. The vibe is just immaculate. Even without nostalgia for me, it's easy to see why this game is as highly regarded as it is, and I think it deserves the praise. This game has had such a massive impact on the industry, and it basically set the blueprint for 3D adventure games that we still feel to this day. Has it aged in places? Yes, but at its fundamental core, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is truly a game of all time. Is he okay? Oh, he's moving. Oh my god, don't rush, please. In your own time. I think what makes me really appreciate the game even more was that they achieved all of this whole package on a 32 megabyte Nintendo 64 cartridge. Like, how mind-blowing is that? When you look at games that come out now at like 100 gigs and there's just not that much substance in there. This game, 32 megs, has so much more actual game, like more meat on the bone than some of the games that are releasing today. So yes, this game is amazing and you should definitely play it if you haven't already. I will be streaming pretty much every other Legend of Zelda game as well as other games in between. So if you want to join, hang out and see what we get up to, feel free to click a link in the description below. I also stream on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube, which you probably should be if you're watching this, subscribe. Next up is Majora's Mask, which I haven't ever played before, so that will be exciting. So hopefully I'll see you in the streams. Hope you enjoyed the video and take it easy.